Discussion to Shireen Michelle Hunter about the 100 Global Innovation Leadership Business Summit that took place in Dubai and the Women of Stature Awards as well. I think it's about building relations, creating better environments, and moving each other forward. That's what it's about. And talking about moving people forward, I'm going to be speaking to a phenomenal gentleman. His name is Dr. Vuyo Yokwe. And Dr. Vuyo is creating a safe space for men to be vulnerable and speak up about mental health after suffering with alcoholism and depression himself. And he's going to give us insight on how to deal with this particular aspect of our lives and how to move ourselves into a positive space. So, very good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining me on the Nafisa Dango show. I really look forward to this conversation this morning. That's much better. The picture was a bit bad there, but we seem to be fine now. Very
Yeah,
good day to you, Dr. Vuyo. How are you doing this morning?
I'm great, man. Just flew, but it's going away. But I'm good.
That's good to hear. And I'm so glad that you've decided to join me on a show to talk about something that I think gets left behind in many directions. I think mental health has affected people in many directions, especially during COVID-19. And what has
Mm,
happened is it's increased a hundredfold ever since then. But the idea that I like is that we're speaking about mental health from a men's perspective, because a lot of the times we pen on it either in a general way or, of course, from a woman's point of view, but not realizing how much of a burden that men themselves take when it comes to situations like this. So let's talk a little bit about your story and what it's meant for you. I mean, I know you've gone through a really serious situation. As far as alcoholism was concerned, you went through a state of depression. Talk us through that story. We want our viewers to understand that irrespective of the challenges you faced, how you got by through it, and that you've become now an inspirational role model in that sphere.
Yeah, at the time when I started having these feelings of some pervasive sadness, feeling of not hopelessness of some sort. I was a clinical manager of a hospital, and I was in charge. I was in the management space. But then, as you would understand, I was then surrounded by people who would, say, listen, Vuyo, why don't you come for therapy? Or myself say, listen, I've got a friend, and then why don't I just give them a call? So during that time, I really then, started when I'm feeling alone, I drink quite a lot. And that became a problem. And, until my mother stepped in, but it was such a dark time. I was not having the energy to do my day to day, even if I felt that and it was interesting, being with my patients, but I did not have the fire in the belly to continue with
Mm.
the day to day job, and I really knew that something was wrong, but I did not go and disclose it all.
And I think that's the biggest problem because a lot of us, a lot of people on a general consensus are struggling with
Yeah,
mental health, especially men, because I mean, as we know through COVID-19, so many of the men are breadwinners in their homes. People are
yeah.
depending on them. And you find that you have this load of a burden on you. And I think that starts creating that anxiety levels and that starts slowly, putting you off your mark and creating that negativity. And I think it's about changing that mindset, moving from where you are to another space. So, pen us out your journey. How did it make you feel when you were so down and out and depressed? And how did you find your turnaround point?
Yeah. So during all of this time when I had all of the signs of depression, and again in men, you are not necessarily going to get that the person is sitting alone, and the person is in the corner of a dark house, or the person is not doing what they used to do, pursue what they used to do before. Those are not the only signs, but then in men you'll find that they tend to compensate, they tend to party quite a lot, they tend to want to drink quite a lot because then they're numbing the pain, and the effect and the issue there is that men don't want to feel weak by then going out and getting a diagnosis that I am a depressed man, yet I
Mm.
have got all of the pressure to stay fresh and strong, and be getting all of the goals that I'm supposed to be smashing. Now, for me, it was when alcohol hit in. because each
Mm.
and every time I had to have a discussion with somebody, because then depression pushes you that way. It takes you and isolates you. You don't want to speak to the people who are who you wanted to you would be comfortable speaking to before.
Mm. Mm.
So my mother saw this, and she saw that there's some patterns, and that each and every time I am always having a companion of a some whiskey the whole time, and then she went to my hospital
Mm.
after so many months now this happening. And then when she got there, she went to my CEO, and it was something that was embarrassing for me because myself, I was a clinical manager of the place, and
Mm.
alongside my CEO as the executive of the hospital. So she literally asked to see my CEO, and she then told her. In fact, she got settlements to say that she was not in a position to lose her son under these
Mm.
circumstances. So that was the thing. And my CEO said, listen, we did not have a way to talk to him about it.
Okay.
But then
Yeah.
you are correct.
Okay. So, Dr. Vuyo, hang on the line. I'm going to carry on with your response. We're just going to go for a quick break.
Okay.
Thank you.
I don't know.
After all these years, I've come to appreciate the wisdom in finding comfort and shifa in trusted treatments like Tib Black Seed. You can find Tib Black Seed at all leading pharmacies or find out more at blackseed.co.za.
You know, it's a wonder how kids get anything done these days. With all the distractions, when do they even get time to study? As a mother, all I can really do is make sure they have all they need to perform at their best. That's why I choose to include Sunfoil triple refined pure sunflower oil with every meal I make. Naturally cholesterol free and approved by the Heart and Stroke Foundation as part of a balanced eating plan. So whether I'm cooking, frying, or baking, I know every dish will be a wholesome one. Sunfoil, now we're cooking.
Give charity without delay, for it stands in the way of calamities. For child-headed households in Bloemendal in the Eastern Cape, the daily diet consists of white bread and a carton of cheap juice or sugar water, known locally as the poppy water diet. Make a difference to that one child or family. The Al-Fida Foundation has over the past 13 years worked on the ground and gathered the largest database in the Eastern Cape region of Muslim Zakah recipients. Phone our offices at 041 484 1288 or visit our website at www.alfida.co.za. The Al-Fida Foundation, your social investment partner in the Eastern Cape.
Kids these days are smart, and when you're competing for their attention against their smartphones, you need to make smart choices, like using Sunfoil triple refined pure sunflower oil in every meal you make. It's naturally cholesterol-free and approved by the Heart and Stroke Foundation as part of a balanced eating plan. So whether you're cooking, frying, or baking, you get the great tasting results that'll get their attention faster than the latest app. And if that doesn't work, change the Wi-Fi password. Sunfoil. Now we're cooking.
It's a new beginning. It's a new era. Salam Media, humanitarian journalism.
Welcome back to the show. And if you've just joined us, we're in conversation with Dr. Vuyo Yokwe about mental health in men and what he went through, his experiences, and what it meant for him. Dr. Vuyo, we just, before we left, we spoke about your turning point, and something very interesting that I read about you yesterday when I was researching you was that you said that your realization was that you had a problem was when you woke up on the side of the road and patrolling police knocked on your car window and offered that arrest at the Berkeley East SAPS station in the captain's restroom. And I think that probably made you realize. And Leah Lynette Browbury says, perhaps men need to accept that the system has been set up for them to fail. I'm so sorry. So I think I can agree with it. I don't know if you agree with that, but what I'm saying is I think what we need to do is what you're doing right now through Mind Zone is realized that men, I think many people don't actually notice, and I think they take it for granted that a man is strong and he's supposed to be the strong figure who's supposed to take just about everything that knocks him over. But not forgetting that of course you're still a human being and you're a person, and there are certain issues, and everybody has a
Yeah,
different threshold. And this is
right.
what it's going to do. It's at some point in time it is going to affect you. So let's talk about, your mom went, she spoke to the CEO. This has changed you around. It's made you realize the types of issues that you were facing. And how did you deal with it? How did you move yourself out of that particular space that you were in?
Yeah. So essentially, her story, when she came, she really became the blueprint safe space for me. And because it was never going to happen that I was going to come out of that space myself. And then after realizing this, I realized and I say, hey, but it's really difficult for men to come out. How difficult will it be for those people who are not in the system and people like myself in the health system? Because then I would have gotten closest help at all, close to me. But now, then it dawned to me that men are really not programmed to speak out. Then that's when I started Mind Zone. And in Mind Zone, as you just, talked to it, you say that we need to know that there must be another way. So Mind Zone was made just for that, and to kick away the stigmas associated with stereotypes of society, and
Mm,
for men to speak up. And as it were now, we are in partnership with some of the colleagues and also people who are in the acting industry, because that's where we see now the severe elements and results of severe depression. Sometimes not even only depression, where men who feel that there's too much of a load on their shoulders decide to take their lives. And
mm,
so we are now having that collaboration, and we are having conversations with men, and we're going to be having a new event in October, where that is a conference-based event, and where we've got panelists where we start discussing and having these engagements and having these conversations. So for me, that was the dawn when my mother went to that CEO with those sentiments that I'm not about to lose my son. I was embarrassed, but it dawned to me that something needs to happen,
mm,
and I'm thankful for her intervention. Though I was feeling that she embarrassed me, and
mm.
that as a man I'm supposed to be the person who's always strong, and I was going to take it on my own and find a
Mm.
way.
I think we
That was
won't
the
call it an embarrassment, Dr. Vuyo. We'll call it an awakening. I think that makes
awakening.
more sense. It's an awakening, it's a realization. Leah Lynette Rawberry says, a mother's love is priceless. And I agree with her.
Yeah.
Leah Lynette again says, I left my job and stepped out in faith to take care of my 74-year-old mother who has dementia and diabetes after her husband of 45 years died earlier this year. I've been labeled
Oh
lazy
man,
and
sorry for
stupid
that.
for serving the role of a divine feminine woman who
Wow,
serves humanity, who must take care of our children and the aged. We mothers don't worry about the money. We want you to be happy.
wow,
That is a mother's joy. Your joy is our joy. Our society's backbone is a mother. But I
wow.
agree with that absolutely a hundredfold. And I must say,
Yeah,
your mom has been your turning point in your life. But I think
they actually,
yeah, and you
uh,
yourself as well have been your turning point, because I think without that, so to say, a little bit of that shove from your mom to say, listen, look what is happening to your life. It's literally falling apart. It's made you create the mind zone, and I love that idea because you have now taken your should we say situation and your experiences and turned it around for the better to the positive to say, I've learned from this. And everybody's thresholds are different. So with Mind Zone, you have now become that role model support structure for men out there suffering with mental health issues, which I think is phenomenal. Let's quickly talk about that. What does Mind Zone do for people? I want the men out there to know that there is somebody that they can turn to in the event of them going through a similar situation like you have.
When we started, we started putting up topics such as depression. Then I would invite people who are specialists and experts in those topics. Then we would have perhaps somebody who tells a story. Or I retell my story myself. But then we found that once you do that, when you tell your story, people relate and people say, "Oh man, I see myself in that person." Right.
Mm.
So this year, however, we have stepped it up. We are having webinars with MindZone. We get the same panelists, psychiatrists, psychologists, all of the multidisciplinary faces that you want in. We are now even going this year, we are going into the category of corporate. We have
Right.
gotten a management forum, like a BMF, a company BMF that oversees many of the managers in South Africa today. So we are saying to them, we don't have a
Mm.
proper mental wellness setting in the workspaces. We do have the basic conditions of employment where you get the sick leave, and but however, you need to be psychotic to get a sick leave for such things as depression. So
Mm.
we are then elevating it now to say that we are going into the space, because in the workspace there's nothing that talks to a lady who is supposed to address a meeting, but now has got emotional issues, perhaps
Mm.
pertaining from what has happened in the home. And when you get into the office, they tell you where you need to leave all of your luggage, your depressive luggages in the doorway, and that doesn't happen. People are not made like
Mm.
that. So this year, that's what we're doing, and again, we are, as I've said, in October, we are inviting now men to
Mm.
come in a space and tell their stories in the same way manner, and we target, in fact, the people who are high profile in society, because
Mm.
those are influential people that people look at. And then if
Yes.
somebody who's CEO of sounding company goes and tells their story and says, "Listen, this is where I was born. This is how it used to be difficult. And this is
Mm.
the depression I had. And this is what happened for me. I got stripped of whatever, A, B, and C of my cars and all of that, but I had
Mm.
to move it around." So
Right.
once then they see that, then people know, oh, that means I don't have to end my life.
Exactly.
My,
I think
my,
that's an interesting concept that you bring up because, I mean, these are influential people, and the
yeah.
norm of society is that they always look at these people first and say,
Mm.
what are they doing and how can we follow suit? But these are the same people that also have mental health issues, and I think our
Yeah.
normal people don't actually realize that until they listen to those stories. So I think
Yeah.
your concept and your idea is phenomenal because what it does is it brings attention to people to say, take a look at this particular person. You think they have this perfect life and there's no situation or mental health issue going on there. But you've shed light on that matter. And I think that's important. So let's just quickly talk about MindZone because we have just a few minutes left. Just tell us how we can get a hold of you and how people can get into that support structure, especially men to be able to get involved and moving themselves. And I always say this on my show, into a better space.
Yeah. So the
So
one
I'm going to
thing that
interrupt you 1 second. Leah Lynette Rober is enjoying this conversation. Dr. V, I think the whole country needs to deal with PTSD from all we have been subjected to as humanity. We've all been shocked to the core. And I agree with that because, as we know, COVID has
she's
also
right.
increased that.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. So I've got an email that people get through. Maybe let me start with the Instagram showing where MindZone is. And it is Dr. Vuyo Yokwe, as it is Dr. VUYOYOKWE. And when you that's my handle at Instagram, and that's where I get the most of the interactions and insights. And people DM me, and that's where we start our relationships. Then we have a system by which I am able then to refer you to somebody who is going to perhaps talk to you about your issues. And then I've got an email address which is Vuyo at
Mm-hmm.
MindZone, and MindZone is mind, but then the zone is with a Z. Z
Okay.
O W zone. And
Okay,
just so
got
on
it.
that.
And what last words of advice would you like to leave us with today?
Yeah, we all live a human experience, and the human experience does not only celebrate what we perceive with society as their success. Our successes are unique, but then at the times when we fail, we think that we have lost it, and that's where depression. That's how depression also looks like. So depression just needs you to always have people who you know are always by your side to be your own
Mm.
safe spaces. In my case, it was my mother, and the thing is, there's always hope. For me, I'm now in a space that I never thought I would be, because then I had, overcome some adversity with the help of people around me. So let's just always have hope.
That's right. And I think it's all about the support structures as well. It's about creating a
Yeah,
support structure for each other, with each other. And I think that's going to make the differences. I think we need to change that narrative and look at the
yeah,
person next to us. And it should start in our own communities to say, is my neighbor okay? Or is my friend dealing with something? And start it from there and then start creating a network. But definitely had an inspirational conversation with you. And I'm hoping that many a men reach out to you after today's conversation to say that,
wow,
you know what,
wow,
Dr. Vuyo, we need that help. But we're also very proud of you. Congratulations on your achievements and overcoming such a serious situation. Because, as we know, mental health takes over, and the amount of suicide that is happening at the moment is actually
yeah.
very, very scary. So thank you so much for being an inspiration to all of us this morning. And we hope to chat to you again soon. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you so much, Nafisa, man. Bye.
Have a lovely one. Goodbye. Dr. Vuyo Yokwe, definitely an inspiration to us, talking to us about mental health affecting men. And I think a lot of the times, these things, as I was saying, get taken for granted because when you look at a man, you look at the strength in him, but not realizing the type of burdens and situations they have to face. So I think that was an inspirational one. Stick with us. We'll be back with you in a sec.